So for you men, your primary first role, expectation, is to work. Be productive. I know you've heard me say that a lot, but here it is in your scripture. The very first thing, it's not point number 27, it's the number one thing, first thing he says, you were created and placed in a place where you can work. And then you have your second role. So what do I say that men's role is, right? Provision and protection. Well, through working, you provide. And then the second one was to guard. See how he tells you right up front, man's role is to provide and protect. It's right there in the law of first mention. Provide and protect. So first of all, it says, wives, subject yourselves. Okay, let's deal with subject yourselves. Let's deal with submission real quickly. I didn't put it in my notes here because I talked about it so much. If you are in a kingdom and you're a subject, do you have any authority? No. Okay? So it's yielding authority. Women, it says, wives, subject yourselves. That means be subject to the authority of. In this case, it's voluntary. You chose to be in this. Okay? Nobody should have forced you to get married. So you subjected yourself voluntarily, just like we do with Messiah, the same thing. We subject ourselves by choice. Free will, we choose. But notice that the next word is to your own husbands. Why would he say all that? To your own husbands, okay? So in other words, wives, who has authority over you? Have we placed anyone above our husbands? Or the master vertically, right? Because this is a picture of a marriage, but it's also a picture of the assembly, okay? It's a picture of marriage, but it's also a picture. Look, at the very end of this chapter, in verse 32, second to last verse, he says, this is a great secret, but I'm not even speaking about marriage here. I'm speaking about the assembly and the Messiah. So I want you to know he's literally talking about both, and he's very clear to me that he's talking about both, and most everybody kind of gets that, all right? But what they don't seem to get is the metaphor. It's not just, Messiah has authority, so I'm the man, you need to be under my authority. No, you have to be under my authority exactly like you would for Messiah, but I have to be authority to you like Messiah would be. We're going to get to that in a minute. Take the metaphor all the way through, please, both sides. The husbands are to love their wives as Messiah also loved the assembly and gave himself for it. So don't you decide what love should look like. This is a very sort of vertically authoritative, fatherly, protector love. It's a husband now. So it doesn't mean that there isn't any eros or any of the other type of love going on here, but this is that providing love, that agape love that you provide, the same that you get from the above. And so husbands are to love their wives. They are to be made safe, be protected. What did Messiah and the Father do? Where did he put Adam? In a garden. He provided a place for him to flourish, to grow, to be creative. Guys, provide your wives with all of that. Because I'll tell you what, a husband and wife, if the wife is providing, almost always has issues. Okay, I'm not saying you can't work, but there's going to be some issues. Because authority is a little tough to wield when the person making the money feels they should be in authority. Well, you can't tell me what to do, I make the money. And that's a hard thing to argue against, okay? I certainly can see where that'd be an argument, you know? I remember when my wife made more than I did, and I tried to tell her that what she could or couldn't do with her money. She goes, but I make the money, it's my money. And I was like, yeah, but I'm the head. But the argument was a hard argument to make because I wasn't being the head, okay? I was technically correct, but it's a hard argument to make. Because she was making money and I'm trying to tell her what to do with it. Let me tell you something. Your family members, maybe I'm wrong, you can disagree. Your family members, if you're a man, need you, but not in such big amounts that you might think. They need you in consistent, dependable, focused amounts, okay? But they don't have to be big. Genuine, focused attention. Children, the same thing. Oh, but my children need to spend all this time with me. No, and they don't want to, really, all right? But I give my children attention in the doses that they need, especially if I'm paying attention to when they might need it. And so they get the attention. I make sure and sit down and say, tell me about your day, tell me what's going on in your life, whatever it is they want to tell me. And then I don't care if it's like stuff that's mind-numbing to some degree or just trauma, and I'm a guy who can't handle it. I'm going to listen because they need me to give them that attention. Success in relationships starts with these three words. You must be observing, paying attention, right? So if you're watching your wife and paying attention, you should know, which is the second point, which is learn from what you saw. You should learn what makes her smile, what puts her frown, what gets you with laser beam, she's mad at you. You should know. It's funny how you react too. Wives do the same thing. You do something, your husband gets mad, husband does something, wife gets, and you act like you're surprised. Now, when you're married like 5 minutes, maybe you're surprised. You're married 15 years, you're not surprised. You shouldn't be surprised, but you act surprised. And then I act even more surprised that the person is surprised. It's like, seriously? Well, I don't understand why you're upset. What do you mean? This has upset me every time it's happened for 15 years. Why are you surprised? Well, I just don't get it. Because what's happening is you're using the filter of you to decide whether it should be happening. Because look, it says that Messiah did this to the assembly. How did Messiah do this to the assembly? Did Messiah beat everybody in the face with the word? No. But did Messiah actually give correction when they didn't obey the word and didn't do what they were supposed to do? So the word is a corrective thing as well as an instructive thing, as well as an encouraging thing. So I don't want you to think of this only as bringing scripture into everything, okay? It's about your responsibility to bring this marriage into something beautiful, blameless, and perfect as the husband. So don't you look at the other person's spouse thinking, oh, why can't mine be more like that? You have no idea what that really is all about. You may have it a whole lot better and not know it, okay? Or you may be comparing your spouse's worst day to somebody else's best day. You saw them at a real good moment, and now you're going to say, oh, how come you're not more like that? There's probably a lot of over there that you don't know and you probably wouldn't want if you knew it. But hey, you're comparing me to that. That's not fair. That's an unfair comparison and very disrespectful. Either way, husband to wife, either way, all right? Doesn't matter which one. The husband comparing the wife to somebody else's wife or the wife either way, it's terribly disrespectful. Never do that. You know what you want to compare them to? What you're wanting. Compare them to what you hoped they would be, what you thought they would be, and what they said they would be. And by the way, it's not that anything necessarily means, oh, well, it's just going to be perfect and we all agree on everything. No. But it's about completing each other. Okay? And you should challenge each other somewhat, but respectfully. And you should rub up against each other in ways that irritate a little bit, but respectfully. But you should be in agreement of where you're trying to go and what you're trying to accomplish. Right? You're coming together and agreeing and you're going forward. Right? Because men, it says, remember, he's talking about, for no one ever hated his own flesh. So this refers back to Genesis, the wife coming out of Adam's flesh. So when you get married, in Judaism, one of the concepts that's in Judaism is the idea that when a husband finds his wife, he's finding the piece that was taken from him. So there's supposed to be a completing. Now, of course, well, then why do people ever get divorced? Because they don't find the piece that belongs to them. They find somebody else's piece.